This is how Paul Gascoigne's dream wedding turned into a nightmare. What really happened behind closed doors, and why did his marriage fall apart just months after the wedding? Paul Gascoigne, better known as Gazza, was born in 1967 in Gateshead, England. From a young age, he showed extraordinary talent in football. His speed, skill, and creativity on the pitch quickly made him a local star, and it wasn't long before he was playing for Newcastle United's youth teams. By the mid-1980s, Gascoigne had joined Newcastle's senior squad, dazzling fans with his unpredictable style and flair. It wasn't just his talent that captured attention, it was his charisma, his larger-than-life personality that made him a favorite both on and off the pitch. Gaz's career skyrocketed when he joined Tottenham Hotspur in 1988, quickly becoming one of England's most exciting young players. Fans adored him, media celebrated him, and soon he was part of the England national team. Off the field, Gascoigne was equally famous, known for his humor, charm, and sometimes wild behavior. He was a celebrity in every sense. Tabloids loved him, fans idolized him, and sponsors lined up to work with him. By the early 1990s, Gascoigne was not just a footballer, he was a household name. And, like many stars who rise to fame quickly, the bright lights also brought immense pressure and scrutiny. Amidst this whirlwind of fame, Paul met Sheryl. Their romance quickly captured media attention, and soon they were inseparable. In 1996, they tied the knot in a lavish wedding that seemed straight out of a storybook. The ceremony was covered by tabloids across the UK, showcasing a picture-perfect couple. From the outside, everything looked flawless: laughter, media smiles, and apparent happiness. Friends described them as the ultimate celebrity couple, young, glamorous, and full of promise. But as with many high-profile relationships, the reality behind the cameras was far more complicated. Despite the glamour and public adoration, cracks began to appear. Close friends noted that Paul struggled with the intense pressures of fame, often disappearing for nights out or struggling with personal issues. Rumors began circulating about disagreements, arguments, and tension between the couple. Sheryl, too, faced her own challenges, being thrust into the public eye, constantly photographed and scrutinized for every action. The media attention that once seemed exciting began to weigh heavily. Small conflicts, ignored by fans and tabloids, hinted at deeper problems. Behind the smiles and lavish events, the marriage was quietly straining under the pressures that fame had brought. By 1996, just months after their wedding, the pressures of celebrity life, personal struggles, and private disagreements had created a volatile environment. It seemed that what began as a fairy tale romance was slowly unraveling, setting the stage for a series of events that would shock the public and change both their lives forever. It was 1996, just months into Paul and Sheryl Gascoigne's marriage. The couple had exchanged vows in a lavish ceremony, but tensions were quietly mounting. On a fateful day at the Glen Eagles Hotel, a high-profile resort known for hosting celebrities, the pressures of fame, personal struggles, and private conflicts collided in a shocking way. What happened that day would dominate headlines and leave the public stunned. According to reports, during a private moment at the hotel, Paul Gascoigne headbutted and shoved Sheryl, leaving her with visible injuries. The incident, though brief, was captured in photographs and quickly spread through tabloids across the UK. Fans and media alike were shocked. Paul, the beloved football star, had publicly admitted to committing an act of violence against his wife. Sheryl, appearing in public with bandages and visible bruises, became the face of a story that exposed the darker side of celebrity life. While both parties later shared differing recollections of the incident, the event itself was undeniable, and it set off a wave of public scrutiny. The reaction was immediate. Fans felt betrayed, journalists demanded answers, and rival football supporters criticized him mercilessly. Even within his own club, reactions were mixed. While manager Walter Smith expressed continued support, the public debate was relentless. How could a national sports hero commit such an act? Tabloids ran headlines daily, images of Sheryl's injuries were circulated widely, and the story became one of the most talked about celebrity scandals of the decade. Paul Gascoigne did not shy away from the truth. He publicly admitted to his actions and expressed deep regret for hurting Sheryl. He described the incident as a moment he would forever regret, acknowledging that his behavior was unacceptable and that the consequences were life-altering, not just for Sheryl, but for his own career and personal life. This admission, while shocking, added a human layer to the story, a reminder that even public heroes can struggle with personal demons. Beyond the immediate physical and public consequences, the incident had lasting emotional impact. For Sheryl, the trauma of being physically hurt and publicly exposed was immense. For Paul, the combination of guilt, media scrutiny, and personal struggles intensified his battles with alcoholism and addiction. Friends and insiders later described this period as one of immense stress and tension, showing how private conflict can quickly spiral under the lens of public attention. This shocking event marked a turning point in their relationship. What started as a fairy tale wedding now teetered on the brink of collapse. The public exposure, personal struggles, and mounting pressures would soon lead to divorce, struggles with addiction, and years of reflection for both Paul and Sheryl.
Following the Gleneagles Hotel incident, the public and personal consequences were immediate. The once celebrated couple faced intense scrutiny from fans, media, and the football community. Paul Gascoigne's reputation, built over years of dazzling performances and charm, was suddenly overshadowed by this shocking event. Sheryl Gascoigne, meanwhile, had to cope with the trauma of physical harm and public exposure. The couple attempted to maintain appearances, but behind closed doors, the pressures and conflicts continued to mount. For Paul, the incident marked the beginning of a turbulent period. Already dealing with fame, intense pressure, and personal struggles, he soon faced battles with alcoholism and drug addiction. Friends described him as increasingly isolated, struggling to balance public expectations with private turmoil. Sheryl also endured immense challenges. Constant media attention, public speculation, and personal trauma made coping with day-to-day life difficult. The public perception of a glamorous celebrity marriage clashed starkly with their private reality. By 1999, just 3 years after their fairy tale wedding, Paul and Sheryl divorced. The reasons were complex. Public scrutiny, personal issues, and the infamous incident at Gleneagles all played a part. For Paul, the fallout was not just personal. His career continued, but the headlines now often focused more on his personal struggles than his achievements on the pitch. For Sheryl, divorce meant rebuilding her life under the watchful eyes of the public, facing constant reminders of a marriage that had once been celebrated but ended in heartbreak. Why did this marriage collapse so dramatically? Several factors contributed. Fame and public pressure, constant media attention amplified every disagreement, personal struggles. Paul's battles with alcohol and mental health issues created tension. Private conflicts, differences in personality and expectations led to repeated arguments. This story illustrates a broader truth. Even seemingly perfect couples can face intense challenges behind closed doors. Fame and fortune may amplify problems rather than shield them from them. The story of Paul and Sheryl Gascoigne serves as both a cautionary tale and a reminder of the human side of public figures. Even those who appear larger than life can struggle with relationships, personal demons, and public scrutiny. It also reminds us of the importance of accountability, empathy, and understanding the pressures that people face, factors often invisible to the public eye. For viewers, there are lessons about recognizing warning signs in relationships, the impact of external pressures, and the importance of seeking help during difficult times. This incident and its aftermath forever changed the lives of both Paul and Sheryl Gascoigne. What began as a fairy tale wedding ended in public scandal, personal struggle, and life lessons that continued to resonate today. In our next segment, we'll summarize the key takeaways from their story and reflect on what it teaches us about fame, relationships, and human fragility.